Minnesota's average life expectancy is 81.1 years of age, and the average cost of living in Eagan is about $55,000 a year. Eastview's graduation rate is 96% compared to the average national graduation, which is 82%. This is why our community is considered 10th best in the nation. Our community design in Eagan and Apple Valley has successfully been improving the health of its members. Nationally, obesity in America has been a major crisis. 2/3 of adults and 1/3 of kids are suffering from obesity, and 250 million tons of energy has been produced within the past year from the United States. And of all the waste produced in the world, the United States is responsible for about 18% of it all. On a national scale, our community design seems to be lacking because of the negligence of some clear problems.
In terms of global scope internationally, one of the big ones is climate change. As we see like increased levels of industrialization, like manufacturing and things like that, that brings a lot of like new technologies and social progress, but also comes with that a lot of more CO2 emissions and things like that. So we want to try to make the emissions as green as possible using natural gas and other things instead of burning fossil fuels. So that's a big issue that we've got globally. Another one is obesity and exercising habits. They've doubled since, or the rate of obesity has doubled since 1980. So we're seeing a clear need for like an increase in physical activity and stuff connected through community design, and we'll talk about some of the solutions later in our presentation. And then for energy, the 10,000 million refers to the number of tons of energy that the world consumed in 2015. And we got all these stats from the World Health Organization, and when we went on their website, we could see trends that show, like, yes, it's steadily increasing. And like I said before, we're trying to make some more of that, like, green energy rather than fossil fuels and things like that.
So our first interview was with Apple Valley City Planner Tom Lovelace. He's the Apple Valley City Planner and specializes in economic development. He talked a lot about the new development starting up in Lakeville, stretching all the way down to Eagan, called the North Creek Greenway. It provides sidewalks and pathways stretching all the way from Lakeville down to Eagan, which provide a safe, active way to get physical activity, although there are a lot of major roads around us.
Our first key concept is blue zones. Christina kind of touched on what the definition of that is, but they're places with high concentrations of longevity. So people are living longer in these places. And as you can see on this map, there's not that many identified blue zones in this world. But what we're trying to do when we create an ideal community is kind of duplicate and replicate some of the ways of life that they do. So Christina talked about they eat a plant-based diet. So a lot of them don't really eat very much meat. They generally drink like a little bit of red wine with their dinner. That's generally good for your health. They do a lot of physical activity. They're all out. Their mental health is very high. They have strong relationships with their members of their community and members of their family. So although we can't physically change like where we are geographically and create a blue zone, we can try and replicate some of the things that they're doing in our society to make our health better.
Another thing that makes it hard to replicate is that in a lot of modern societies, people retire at a certain age and they don't continue to have any real physical or any other purpose or and to continue their life. And in these blue zones, people have a sense of belonging through their death, and they never really retire, as in a lot of modern countries. So here's some key facts. One of them is that in low-income urban areas, they tend to have an unhealthy community design in that they generally lack green spaces so people can get out and active in a safe environment. And because they can't get out, really, it's hard to socialize with people, and that also contributes to lack of good social health. Also, there's a food desert, which is what Christina was talking about, since they have, it's not as wealthy as well-to-do communities that generally have fresh produce and other good quality food available. So that contributes to the lack of good food and the detriment of physical health. Another fact is that physical activity has a whole range of benefits. Besides helping to prevent obesity and chronic diseases, physical activity helps promote academic growth and brain development, and also it promotes on-task behavior and other aspects of mental health. And also the physical environment is one of the things that kind of overrides any aspect of community design, because that's kind of what factors into everything and influences everything. Because if you have a clean environment and clean water and clean air, then people will probably live healthier because they have access to they have better air to breathe and the better water to drink.
Yeah, so one of our first current events is titled Changing the Landscape of Livability. And this is basically about a partnership created in 2009 between the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, the U.S. Department of Transportation, and the EPA. And basically they're working together to create this close-knit, sustainable community. And this is really good because the majority of people do want to live in a community that is green and where all the resources are within walking distance. And this relates to our topic because this close-knit community is really the optimal and perfect, design, because it promotes the physical health since you're kind of forced to walk as opposed to driving. And socially it's good because you interact with the people that are walking on the same sidewalk as you. Just environmentally, walking as opposed to driving is better. And our graph related to the current event is one about when we asked the student body, do you regularly use forms of transportation such as walking or biking to get places even when the car is available? And as you can see on the graph, 20.6% of females said yes, while the rest said no. For the males, 37.5 said yes, while the rest said no. And in both cases, a majority of people don't use these forms of transportation such as walking and biking, even though the car is available. And I feel that if we were to design a community that's more close-knit, the percentages of people that say yes would go up, definitely, because they are more willing to walk a short distance.
Yeah, and very much like the current event he talked about, if we have a closer knit community, people will be more willing and more likely to actually walk and take their bike places rather than drive.
Yeah.
So that's why it does it.
Similar organizations that we found are local cities. We have easy access and efficient government offices working towards bettering our communities and are willing to hear your opinion. Also, blue zones, they reflect the lifestyles and environment of the world's longest living people and provide tips and tricks on how to help you live longer. The DNR works toward conserving and managing the state's natural resources and provides outdoor recreational opportunities in Minnesota. The Environmental Protection Agency is meant to protect human health and its environment and create laws, spread awareness, and work with other countries to protect our global environment.
So a quick update on our social media page. We ended up doing a Twitter and we were able to get quite a few followers and we were tweeting out pretty much every day. A lot of our original tweets would be kind of motivational things to try and get people out and active, whether it was, I think we tweeted about going to the Apple Valley City Council meeting. Also we did some polls to see how many days a week you're eating meat, how often you're exercising, and we were able to get some pretty good feedback off of that. And we also would retweet a lot of the Blue Zone things. They would have a lot of helpful tips, and a lot of them would be like nutritional things that we thought that people would be interested in. Our next current event was from this year, and it was called Expanding the Classroom with Adjustable Standing Desks. And with this particular article, the school was in Florida, and it was a type of environmental school, so they were looking for something that would allow them to have a flexible learning environment with indoor and outdoor, and these desks really did it for them because they've got wheels and different things. One of the issues with implementing this, obviously, in our school is the cost. Like even Miss Dye's, the wooden thing, I think it's like $50. Yeah, about $50. So these are over $1,000, I believe. They're very expensive. So we see it more as like a futuristic thing that we can implement. As more people start using them and more are produced, the price will go down. So we don't really see this as something that we can right away implement, like in this school, for example, but we think these will be a lot more prevalent in the future.
Okay, the she's the leader at ESU, and that's the environmental club here at ESU, and she's also an activist. And she talked about the composting program that we had here about 10 years ago, and how it only lasted for around a week because it wasn't funded right, and it wasn't planned out right. So like nobody was participating in the composting, and it just didn't work out. And she thinks that we could try it again with proper funding and a better plan, and it would be a really good thing to have here at ESU. And she also talked about Crayola. They have this marker biofuel recycling program. So if you have a marker that goes out, they have buckets in the teachers' offices, and you can just put your markers in there, and the environmental club frequently picks them up.
Yeah, so they've got the buckets in the teacher offices, but you'll see in our video later, but a lot of people don't know about them. So we're going to try and make a few of these and put them in the classroom so that students can actually use them, and you can put in like regular Crayola markers that you might color with or something, or highlighters, or expo markers, just no permanent markers. So hopefully you'll see a couple more of these around.